The Heritage of Cebu Monument is a representation and illustration of sculptures depicting significant and symbolic events in the history of Cebu, back from the time of Raha Humabon to the recent beatification of the Cebuano martyr Pedro Calungsod. The monument was built by the local artist Eduardo Castrillo. Its construction started in July 1997. He and the late Senator Marcelo Pernan funded the construction, together with other donations from private individuals and organizations. The construction was finished and guaranteed on December 8, 2000. The scenes illustrated in the monument are the conversion of Raha Humabon and his followers to Christianity, the local revolution against the Spanish rule, a Roman Catholic Mass, and the fateful fight on April 21, 1521. In the islands of Mactan, where native chieftain Lapu-Lapu killed Ferdinand Magellan, the structures carved in the monument includes the Basilica del Santo Niño, Cebu Metropolitan Cathedral, the St. John and the Baptist Church, Magellan's Cross, a Spanish galleon, statues of Sergio Osmeña Sr. and Blessed Pedro Calungsod. The spot where the monument stands now, the Parian, is very historical. It used to be a home to the residents of the most prominent families in Cebu during the Spanish period. It is also used to be the center of trade between the locals and Chinese and Spanish mestizos. The word Parian was derived from the word pare-pare, meaning to barter or trade. It was also where the wealthy Chinese merchants held lavish events. It is also where the St. John the Baptist Church formerly stood but was demolished in 1875 by the Diocese of Cebu. According to the published information about this monument, it was built on the original Plaza Parian in Cebu City. Conceptualized by Eduardo Castrillo, the monument depicts Cebu's history, beginning with the fateful fight on April 27, 1521 in the islands of Mactan, where native chieftain Lapu-Lapu killed and Ferdinand Magellan. I will repeat. The Heritage of Cebu Monument is very accessible, whether through public utility, jeepneys, taxi, or a private car. It is located just a short walk from Colon Street and 15 to 20 minutes taxi ride from Ayala or SM. It is very easy to find as taxi and jeepneys drivers are very familiar to the place. Thank you.
In this video, we tackle about the history of Basilica Minore del Santo Niño. So, it is considered the oldest Catholic church in Cebu, dating back to Magellan's time. This place of prayer house, the image of Santo Niño, the city of patron saint, represent Jesus, a black holy child. The Basilica Minore del Santo Niño was established by the San Agustinians in 1565 when Miguel Lopez de Legazpi landed in Cebu, making it the oldest church in the city in the Philippines over the course of the century. The church has been built, destroyed, and rebuilt again. The major church construction started in 735 under the guidance of the Fray Juan del Arbaran. By 1740, the Santo Niño image was installed in the new church. This statue played an important role in the conquest and Christianization of the Philippines. It is reflected every year. It is in the Sinulog Festival, which is already well known beyond the nation borders. So, the Basilica de Santo Niño is visited by the locals and many foreign travelers from all over the world on the 17th century. The first church was built on the site where the wooden statue of Santo Niño was found. However, the church and also the following wooden statue was burned down. The basilica was rebuilt in 739, made of natural stone, and is still admirable today. So, the breathtaking interior design give more impact to devotees and travelers alike. From the statue to the garden that is that is situated inside the basilica to the religious paintings as the ceiling and the wall design altars.
The remote village of Sagada is nestled in the Cordillera Central Mountains of northern Luzon, the Philippines' largest and most populated island. It's a bumpy, winding, 5-hour drive from Manila, but those willing to make the journey will encounter an ancient customs that's as haunting as it is remarkable. A ritual believed to date back 2,000 years, the Igorot people bury their dead in hand-carved coffins that are tied or nailed to the side of a cliff and suspended high above the ground below. This gravity-defying graveyard is believed to bring the departed closer to their ancestral spirits. Before being taken for burial, it is secured in the fetal position with the legs pushed up towards the chin. It is then wrapped again in a blanket and tied with rattan leaves while a small group of men chip holes into the side of the cliff to hammer in the support for the coffin. The corpse is wrapped like a basketball, says Soledad. On the way there, mourners do their best to grab it and carry it because they believe it is good luck to be smeared with the dead's blood. The fluids from the corpse are thought to bring success and to pass on the skills of the deceased to those who come into contact with them during the funeral procession. When the procession reaches the burial site, young men climb up the side of the cliff and place the corpse inside a hollowed-out lumber coffin. The bones are cracked to fit the corpse into the small space, which is then sealed with vines. The newest coffins measured about 2 meters, Soledad explains. These days, coffins are long because the relatives of the deceased are afraid to break the bones of their loved ones. Very few choose to follow the tradition now. Today, Sagada's elders are among the last practitioners of these ancient rituals. Younger generations have adopted modern ways of life and are influenced by the country's profound Christian beliefs. Children want to remember their grandparents, but they prefer to bury them in the cemetery and visit their tombs on All Saints' Day. You can climb and visit the hanging coffins. It's a tradition that is slowly coming to an end and it's dying out.
Mami Burial Caves. Kabayan is one of the municipality of Benguet Province in the Cordillera Mountain ranges of northern Luzon. The municipality is recognized as a center of Ibaloy culture. The Ibaloy, the dominant ethno-linguistic group of Kabayan, have a long traditional practice of mummifying their dead. Mummification began prior to the Spanish colonization. Individuals from the higher societal stratum of the Ibaloy of Kabayan used to be mummified through a long ritual process over a long period of time. The process of mummification using salt and herbs and set under fire may take up to 2 years. When the body is finally rid of the body fluids, the mummy is placed inside a pine wood coffin and laid to rest in a man-made cave or a niche dug out from solid rock. During the Spanish period, Christianity spread and took a foothold in the mountains of Benguet, and the practice of mummification and cave burial was abandoned. The remains are then placed in wooden coffins and interred in man-made burial niches in rock or rock shelters and or natural caves. The museum also exhibits Aside from one mummy, ethnographic objects, mostly of the Ibaloy ethno-linguistic group and some of the Kalangoya group. The National Museum Kabayan was constructed in 1982 on a 580 square meter lot donated to the government by Mrs. Xerial Bihar Tainam. It was the result of the community's efforts to protect its cultural treasures following reports of the theft and looting at the rock shelters of Kabayan in 1977. Negotiations and documentation of the rock shelters ensued and the mummies were retrieved through the collaborative efforts of the National Museum of the Philippines and the local governments of Benguet Province in Kabayan Town. The mummies were first kept at the Kabayan Town Hall while officials persistently looked for areas where a museum could be built and where the mummies could be securely kept. At present, one mummy is at the Kabayan Burial Cave Site Museum. Also on the exhibit are ethnographic objects, mostly of the Ibaloy Ethno-Linguistics Group and some of Kalangoy Group.
Good day everyone. I am Georgie M. Lozano from BSED English 1B. The Makaraeg Makapagal Ancestral House of Iligan. The National Historical Institute designed the Makapagal Makaraeg Ancestral House as a heritage house on August 14, 2002. It is regarded as the first home in the Philippines where two presidents lived. Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, the 14th President of the Philippines, and her father, Diosdado Macapagal, the 9th President. The house was built in 1950 and is composed of cement and wood. The Iligan Municipal Government has worked hard to maintain this mansion ever since formed. President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo donated it. Throughout Arroyo's presidency, this location was used for numerous cabinet sessions as it was regarded as rest house for friends and relatives of Makaraeg. Macapagal and Arroyo, occasionally events like seminars and birthdays were also held here. This house is full of memories and recollections. You can visit this place to get a peek of a past Philippine president's life prior to her leadership. You'll also see that she was once a typical adolescent who sought success. You can have conflicting feelings regarding Gloria Arroyo in light of recent occurrences in her life. However, this house will undoubtedly serve as a reminder that prior to all those controversies, Gloria's childhood and adolescence may have been similar to our own. The house represents the modernity of government in the 1950s as well. For people whose life had a significant impact on a city like Iligan City, it is a proper place to reside. Most of the residents are students from nearby provinces who are eager to visit this location for research or school projects. There are more historical places to visit in Mindanao. Indeed, it is a must to visit these beautiful places in Mindanao. By visiting these historical places in Mindanao, you don't only appreciate the beauty of it, but it is also a way to connect with the past. We also discover and learn more about our ancestry. History gives us a sense of belonging to something far greater. Thank you.
This is the major historical landmark of the Pitan City. It refers to the more or less 16 hectares estate of Dr. Rizal, which he purchased in Barangay Talisay and is approximately 2 kilometers from the City Hall. In August 1892, a Spaniard from Manila brought lottery tickets to the Pitan, Dr. Jose Rizal, Captain Ricardo Carnicero, the politico-military governor of the Pitan at that time, and a Spaniard residing in Dipolog bought a ticket which luckily won for them 20,000 peso. Rizal's share was 6,200 peso. He gave 2,000 pesos to his father and 200 pesos to Basa, his friend in Hong Kong. He invested his remaining winnings in business and bought lands and built houses in Talisay, which is now the Rizal Shrine. In March 1893, Rizal transferred to Talisay. Later on, his mother Doña Theodore Alonso, his sisters, some relatives and neighbors from Calamba, Laguna, came and lived with him Talisay until 1896. It was here where Rizal exemplified the idea that a life which is not consecrated to a great ideal is useless. It is a pebble lost in the field without forming part of an edifice. Making the best of every moment, even if the gods weave his tragic fate. The court-martial that trial Rizal imposed to him not only capital punishment, but also the payment of indemnity to the state in the amount of 100,000 pesos, the obligation to pay such indemnity being transmissible to the heirs of the accused. On January 15, 1897, Rizal's properties in Talisay were confiscated by the Spanish authorities, and Don Cosme Borromeo was appointed custodian of the sequestered properties. In 1913, it was converted by the government into a park dedicated to the memory of Rizal. Years later, the park was reconstructed in 1940. The late President Manuel Quezon of the Commonwealth government, after visiting the Pitan several times, issued Proclamation number 616 declaring it is the Rizal National Park.